What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel Anime Fiction. I'm back with a new episode of What If Naruto Conquered the Mysterious World Part 2. And if you did enjoy the video, consider a like. And if you're new to my channel and have more content, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more crossover fictions. Now let's begin this new video.
Chapter 4 You Suk Young greeted Naruto as he exited the room. They had known one another for 3 years, ever when she began working for the Digimon Association of Japan and was assigned to him. She took care of many tamers, much like the other employees, so Naruto wasn't the only one, but she treated him as a friend. He was 8 years her junior, yet she couldn't treat him like a teenager because of his demeanor and presence. Young was a stunning woman with long brown hair, brown eyes, and an athletic physique. She was dressed in a crimson and brown ceremonial gown. Her demeanor was kind and encouraging. She was humble and from an average family. She was well liked, and many people were interested in her for various reasons, most notably her appearance. It was great to have someone like Naruto around, and he had helped her when she was new, the first buddy in this new territory. "You have improved again," Young stated with a joyful smile, glad for him. "I got excited about the journey and pushed harder. How did the result turn out?" Naruto smiled as he moved up to the seat and sat down, sipping the juice offered to him. He hadn't lost much energy, but declining would be impolite. "You got upgraded to D rank," Young shouted as she hugged him. Naruto didn't care about such little issues, but Young's joy infected him. He had a grin on his face and was enjoying the hug. He was nearing the end of the process, and with a higher position came more freedom. "Perhaps I'll check back home after I obtain a powerful Digimon with dimensional travel, or I could ask one of them," Naruto reflected as his thoughts strayed there. He was cool, yet he had a strong yearning to see what happened to his world when he died. Young awoke from her trance to find herself in his embrace. Naruto was deep in meditation, and she was at ease. "No, I shouldn't do this." Young wanted to stay but knew it would be unprofessional. Naruto," Young shouted out, unable to move. She was also a tamer, but her strength was insufficient to battle with Naruto without her Digimon. Her companion was a powerful champion, and she would need to summon him and activate their bond in order to escape Naruto's clutches. Naruto jerked out of his reverie as he heard her voice. Naruto let go and apologized. "Sorry, got lost in thought for a moment." "I see," Young mumbled as she corrected herself and approached him. "Now what, will Mr. Mitsuwa talk with me or something?" Naruto wondered, unsure of the next step in his dilemma. Young felt at ease as he observed his peaceful manner. He was always so comfortable, no matter what the situation, that other people noticed. She had just returned from meeting with the leaders, and the decision had been postponed till the final phase. Naruto was already on the association's list of valuable assets, and they would not let anything happen to him. The United States and other countries had formidable new types, but Japan finally broke their records with Naruto. Aside from human rivalry, peace was an illusion, and they always needed powerful tamers to keep things in order. The planet was in the hands of the ancients, and only them, while forces of evil abound. It would be devastating if any of the 10 warriors died. Therefore humanity had worked tirelessly to generate support for the warriors. On its own, the new type had the most promise, but tamer-wise, everyone had a shot. "He will talk to you after the final step. Are you ready?" Young said, her voice tense with eagerness. She was curious to see what the system had in store for her pal. What was his partner's potential? "I see, let's go," Naruto said, standing up without further explanation. He was also curious as to how this would all end. She felt like the younger person in the circumstance, as she always did. "Follow me," Young said as he began walking. She guided him through numerous curves and protected zones before arriving at their destination. "You'll have to go by yourself," Young replied as she stood to the side. Naruto nodded and walked inside. It was a chamber packed with technology and pulsating blue lines of light. Naruto could sense that it was a deadly area. Any foolish conduct would result in his death by something. As the system evaluated his body, he couldn't say anything. Lights moved up and down over him. Before the procedure proceeded forward, he scanned his entire structure and went over all reports. Naruto observed his Digimon come to life using data gathered from the digital realm by the association. Typically, Digimon would begin at a very low level and be quite mushy. The system bypassed that step and instead offered Tamers rookie-level Digimon. The association desired fighters and would not squander the time of their Tamers. Tamers could come upon newborn Digimon in the wild. The system's rookie Digimon, unlike the wild one, was not highly knowledgeable because it had only been given limited information. Tamers would have to teach them because the Digimon only knew the language and had the maturity of an adolescent. It would only know how to use its attack in a basic way, allowing the tamer to teach it better tactics and form a bond with it. Lights continued to shine in front of him, shifting around as a shape formed, and Naruto finally saw his partner. It fell to the ground and glanced at him. Candleman. It was a Digimon that resembled a candle. It stood 1 meter tall. Its bottom torso was perched atop a gilded container. It had 2 crimson eyes and a big mouth, as well as 2 wax arms. On the head, there were flames that were alive and had eyes and a mouth. The real body was the flame, while the candle form was a fake. Naruto remained silent and focused his attention on the screen in front of him, which displayed the potential of his Digimon. The system has undergone numerous updates and was outfitted with the latest technology available. It has never been incorrect. Gankuman was a muscular, humanoid Digimon who embodied masculinity, particularly fatherly discipline. It wore a jacket over its shoulders like a badge, symbolizing its more down-to-earth design and manner as compared to the more knight-like and distant Royal Knights members. Hinata sprang from its flesh and hovered above it, resembling a battle aura. Naruto nodded, as he had expected nothing less from his teammate. He was far too powerful to work with a weak partner. It would have been irrational because the system used his abilities and data to create this Digimon. It brought back memories of his earlier shape, with Kurama by his side. Gankuman was a Digimon of the Holy Knight class. It joined the Royal Knights, due of its perseverance. Although it was said to have taken up residence in the southwest edges of the digital world, it rarely stayed in the same place for long, so it journeyed across the digital world, going around and putting a stop to unusual phenomena and signs of chaos, which it learned from Sistermon Ciel's reports, with the next generation Hackmon as its companion. Gankuman had seen Hackmon and recognized the makings of the 13th Royal Knight in it, so he decided to temper the rookie Digimon with frequent, harsh challenges. Unlike the other Royal Knights, who rarely showed their faces, it truly stepped down and acted. It was admired by many Digimon, and it had many bosom friends. For example, it saved the Sistermon sisters just as they were about to collapse from fatigue from fighting in the dark jungle a long time ago. Sistermon Blanc puts all of its effort into being a chaperone for Hackmon in order to repay Gankuman for saving them. Due to its stubborn disposition, its frequently stern expression, and dealing with Hackmon in a severe manner, treating with Hackmon in a severe manner was a cruel type of kindness of wanting it to keep up with the other Royal Knights and grow independent. Gankuman was a well-known Digimon who was also one of the nicest, owing to its status as a Royal Knight. The majority of the Royal Knights were pompous psychopaths who would slaughter all of their fellows if Drazel ordered it. Regardless, Naruto would need Gankuman's approval for the metamorphosis to occur. He wasn't the only person to have a Royal Knight Digimon in the works, but the majority of them never made it to the final stage. The Digimon Task Force commander was one of the few tamers to be granted a pass, and his partner was a Royal Knight, albeit an inferior version of the original. Master, what is my name? Candleman inquired as he remembered the sight of Gankuman. He understood what he could become and how powerful Gankuman was. He didn't have a strong reaction because he hadn't yet developed a personality. He didn't need to inquire Naruto's name because he already knew it. He was born with some rudimentary knowledge. Naruto approached his companion after his gaze was drawn to him. I'll name you Asura. Do you like it? Naruto said, feeling the tie between them, which was weak at the time but would grow stronger with time. Thank you for the name, Master, Asura said, having no opinion on the matter and simply thanking him. Asura could have been more juvenile if the system hadn't taken Naruto's current personality into account. Naruto didn't mind because he was excited to care for another child. He truly enjoyed training others. Naruto patted his head, not feeling the flames because Asura could control them. Naruto followed the instructions and proceeded forward, picking up his Digivice. The Digivice was a critical piece that could not be overlooked. All tamers needed it or they couldn't do anything. It was capable of scanning and analyzing all digital beings. It enabled the user to send data to their Digimon, ranging from medicinal plants and food to nonverbal commands. It allowed the user to keep track of the couple's emotional states. It aided in the formation of a link with Digimon. It aided in the healing of Digimon. It aided in the storage of Digimon and data. It used a sonar technology to distinguish between evil and good Digimon. It could aid in the discovery of gateways to the digital and human worlds. It was the core pillar of the partners' bond, and it even allowed users to channel their emotional energy in order to trigger a brief transformation. It served as a link between partners and provided protection for the tamer. With this technology, the tamer may securely receive enhancements to his body via the bond while still being shielded by a barrier during fight. It could emit a damaging light to repel and restrain foes. It could develop weapons to combat and tame Digimon. It was possible to change the partner Digimon using digital cards. Researchers created cards that provided humanity an advantage in this harsh environment. With the cards, even a beginner Digimon could compete with a champion Digimon. Finally, it permitted the use of DNA Digivolution. This was the procedure of combining two or more Digimon to create a new and stronger Digimon. The Ancients' leaders united multiple Digimon to create their super ultimate Digimon, which treated even mega-level Digimon as fodder. It was an unquestionable treasure, bestowed by the digital sovereigns and the celestial Digimon, two factions that valued and supported the human side. "Let's go meet your new friends," Naruto said, taking the golden and black Digivice shaped like a phone with an opening on the side to slip the cards through. It looked like an iPhone and had the Uzumaki spiral on the rear. While Naruto was meeting his partner, the rest of the squad was doing the same because the system could accommodate a large number of individuals at once. Rika stepped into the room with a calm demeanor, but her eagerness was obvious in her eyes and the jump in her steps. She was the strongest member of her clan and one of Japan's top new prospects. It meant her companion couldn't be weak, and she was about to set a new clan record. It was, however, aggravating to learn that Carrie had a higher grade. She was born with more potential than her brother and the ability to tame Digimon from birth. She was Rika's competitor, despite they were on opposing sides. Rika was aggressive, whereas Carrie was gentle. Nonetheless, Rika saw a bright future for herself and vowed to outperform everyone else. Even before falling in love with Naruto, she had wished to be the digital queen, and now she believed Naruto would undoubtedly succeed the present digital emperor. Emperor Greymon was the current emperor's Digimon, and on his side stood the owner of Magna Gerurumen. There were two girls in the group, but according to the public, neither of them was in a relationship. The strongest female tamer was awarded the title of queen or empress. Izumi Orimoto, also known as Zoe, was the current empress. Her partner was Jet Silphiman, a stunning blonde woman with flair and a terrific body. Rika regarded her and the other team member, Amara Aquila, also known as Magma. Rika stood motionless as her eyes took in her surroundings and the lights danced over her body for a few moments before her partner appeared. Renamon was a fox-like bipedal Digimon. Except for the tips of its tail and ears, underside, hands and legs from the knees down, and the purple cancer emblems on its thighs, the majority of its body was covered in yellow fur. It also has wing-like yellow fur tufts on its shoulders and a big, mane-like white fur tuft on its chest. It was dressed in purple sleeves that covered its forearms and had yin-yang markings on the back of its hands. It had clawed fingers on both hands and clawed toes on both feet. It had black pupils and black eyes. It was a Digimon noted for its quickness and combat abilities. Her preferred Digimon was a ninja-like Digimon. She wasn't the only one who had a Renamon because others with comparable attributes had one as well, but its potential was determined by the tamer. Every Digimon, like a human, had a potential level that determined how far the Digimon could go. Under normal circumstances, some Digimon could never advance beyond champion level. Even without them doing anything, the distinction between tamers was obvious because their partners' numbers were unusually high compared to other rookie Digimon. Rika was pleased with Renamon's physical look. "I am here to serve. Please honor me with a name, Master." Renamon gazed at Rika and smiled. She sensed a connection between them. She got down on her knees and bowed. "Luna, your name will be Luna from now on, and you will get me to the top," Rika said, walking closer and placing her hands on Luna's shoulder. Both of them saw what Luna would become as they coaxed her to rise. Sakuyamon was a humanoid Digimon who stood tall. The majority of its body was clothed in skin-tight black fabric. It wore purple and yellow knee-high boots with the yin-yang symbol on the instep, as well as purple and yellow gauntlets with the yin-yang symbol on the backs of the hands. It also wore a yellow cuirass and shoulder guards with the yin-yang symbol embroidered on them, as well as a yellow, traditional kitsune-style half-mask that covered its human-like face. It also had ankle-length silver hair wrapped into pigtails and held Kongu Shakuju, a long gold staff with numerous rings embellishing the tip. She was a Digimon Shaman. It functions as a Miko, working as an agent of Yggdrasil's will. It, like Taomon, freely employs Onmyoto tactics in battle and can summon immortal beast species Digimon. It always wears 4 pipes around its waist, which contain 4 Kuda Gitsune with the qualities of fire, water, wind, and thunder, respectively. It could employ these Kuda Gitsune to do everything from attack to acquire information. It could shift into Sakuyamon Miko mode, which conducts Shinto ceremonies, just like Magnaangemon's priest mode. It is armed with the Kongu Shakuju. Its gloves displayed the 0 unit symbol, while the characters on the red, blue, green, and yellow Kuda Gitsune's foreheads read fire, water, wind, and thunder, correspondingly. With such a sign, the 0 unit was connected to King Drazel and provided power and assistance to the Digimon. The 0 unit Digimon were always extraordinary, and no one could question Sakuyamon's abilities. She stood on the same level as the Royal Knights on the other side of Drazel. She was weaker than them, but her abilities and ingenuity compensated for her lack of strength. She was an expert at magic, seals, illusions, barriers, and summoning. She was also an accomplished close-range fighter and scout. Her beauty was exceedingly lovely and graceful, putting her on a par with Anjuemon. Legend has it that the most beautiful Digimon were Ophanamon, Raphaligemon, or Venusmon. Ophanamon was a top celestial Digimon and humanity's savior, whereas Raphaligemon was a legend that only lived for a few hours before dying. Finally, Venusmon was one of the Olympus 12, who were equal to the Royal Knights in power. You see, that is what you are capable of according to this system, but I want more than that, and we will go beyond it, Rika said as she stared into the eyes of Luna, who stood at 1.7 meters tall. Sakuyamon was powerful, but not powerful enough to be queen. Luna took in the surroundings. She was a sensible creature who obeyed orders. So what was beyond it? The system assigned her last stage as Sakuyamon. She was perplexed and didn't comprehend the point, but she knew one thing: she had to obey the directions. Your wish is my command, Luna said with a nod, and Rika laughed at her perplexity. Because of her joy, she had forgotten about her lack of drive and other issues. Don't worry, you'll understand what I mean, Rika said as she moved to her Digivice. The back was white and blue with the yin-yang symbol. Rika was pleased with the outcome, and her thoughts returned to Naruto as she walked out of the room with Luna. Takato stepped into the room with a skip in his stride, unable to contain his feelings. He was pumped up and wanted to start screaming at the top of his lungs. He was finally going to meet his ideal partner. Takato was the most naive and childish of the squad members, coming from a calm background, whereas the other 3 were top. Takato was determined, but he never lost sight of the importance of having fun. He was always full of happy thoughts and rarely had negative ones. He had been a quiet child, but after meeting Naruto, he opened up and blossomed into a gregarious butterfly. Takato looked up to Naruto as his older brother figure. They were more than just best buddies. He considered Henry to be his best friend among the boys, but Naruto was above that. Takato had other acquaintances from his region outside of this circle, and he only brought a few of them to meet the trio. Takato was also the only member of the group who had a girlfriend from an early age. He had confessed to Yuri Katu after Naruto's comments, and they had been dating since they were 12 years old. Come on, Takato said as he continued to pound his legs on the ground in frustration, and his first fantasy came true. He couldn't stop his features from transforming into a wide grin as his partner gained shape. Gallantmon was a dinosaur-like bipedal creature with red scales and yellow eyes. It had 3 claws on each hand, 2 claws on each front foot, and 1 claw on each hind foot. It has 2 wing-like extensions on the back of its skull. It has white scales on its belly, as well as a digital hazard. It also has 2 black spots behind its eyes and a black triangular mark on each shoulder, as well as black horizontal lines on its arms, legs, neck, back, and tail. It also sported an inverted 0 unit on its nose, as well as incomplete 0 units on its hands and feet. Gallantmon was a Digimon who resembled a reptile. It had the appearance of a dinosaur still in its youth. Although it was still a rookie, its potential as a combat species, which all Digimon had by nature, was quite strong, and it concealed the vicious demeanor of a predatory beast. The digital hazard label on its abdomen was imprinted on those who have the ability to wreak massive damage to the digital world. However, if this talent is employed peacefully, it has the potential to become an entity that safeguards the digital world. Takato couldn't control himself and jumped his buddy. "Yeah," Takato said joyfully as he hugged Gallantmon, who was perplexed by his antics but joyfully embraced his partner. Unlike Rika and Naruto's partners, Gallantmon exuded a childlike atmosphere. Takato's innocence stemmed from the fact that such partners would not suit him. Takato's delight stemmed from the fact that his partner was Gallantmon, and Gallantmon was the rookie stage of the Royal Knight, Gallantmon. Gallantmon, like Renamon, was a rare starter, and most of them never reached their full potential due to the difficulties. Takato, why are we dancing?" Gallantmon inquired as Takato spun him around while clutching his claws. "Because you are awesome." "I am awesome, yay." Gallantmon, like his partner, was highly enthusiastic, but the system didn't wait for their antics to end and they both came face to face with the Royal Knight's hologram. Its presence compelled them to pause and respect its appearance. Gallantmon was a classic armored knight. Its body was completely covered in white armor, with crimson accents on its pauldrons, polans, and the ends of its vambraces, as well as gold trimming on the ankle plates of its sabatons. It was draped in a massive, flowing red cape. Gallantmon's face was emblazoned on its helmet as a crest. It wielded the Aegis, a circular shield, and Gram, a massive lance. Its cuirass and polans bore the digital hazard emblem. Its crest, Gorget, and Aegis bore the 0 unit, and its digicode on its Aegis read, Digital Monster. Gallantmon was a Digimon of the Exalted Knight class. One of the Royal Knights, it was a contradictory creature, as it is labeled a guardian deity of the net yet having a virus attribute, and if its balance was broken, it might become a harmful being. It piloted the Granny flying dragon machine as a dragon knight racing across the skies. It was dressed in holy armor made of 99.9% pure chrome digizoid, and its right hand could transform into the holy lance, Gram, rivaled only by Darkdramon's Gigastick lance, while its left hand could transform into the holy shield, Aegis. It valued chivalry and was a devoted vassal to its lord. "Arthur, you are awesome," Takato exclaimed, picking up Arthur and spinning him around like he was carrying a baby. "Is Gallantmon Arthur?" Arthur was perplexed. "Yes, and you will be the king of knights," Takato said, putting Arthur down before picking up his digivice. The back had the digital hazard sign in red and white. Henry entered the room calmly, taking in everything with interest. He was delighted to meet his companion, but he was also ecstatic to be so near to the heart of the Hypnose system. The supercomputer, which could use data to produce Digimon and perform miracles. It was one of humanity's most powerful creations and the driving force behind their progress. People would have a difficult time locating a suitable spouse if the system did not exist. The digital world was huge, making the real world appear insignificant in comparison, making selecting the right spouse an impossible endeavor. It was also a risky and time-consuming task. The system altered the environment and accelerated progress. It also helped to reduce crime and promote global safety. To Henry, it was like getting close to the Holy Grail, but he knew all knowledge about the system was classified and no one even knew who created it. Henry wouldn't be surprised if Digimon were involved, and King Yggdrasil might be as well. Yggdrasil was the global tree that encased and ruled over the digital multiverse. It was manned by a variety of forces. Its most powerful servants were the Royal Knights and Olympus 12, giving Yggdrasil a virtually unstoppable force. It was a cold, logical being devoid of feelings. It was only concerned with the survival of the digital world, and it would do all kind of heinous atrocities to that end. The digital world had been subjected to multiple genocides under this creature, and no one knew when the next one would occur. Nobody knew what it desired. No one knew what it was protecting the digital world from when it was at the top, and no one had the capacity to demand an answer from it. There was temptation to act, but Henry was a disciplined individual who would never behave selfishly. When he wasn't with his pals or experimenting, he was quite soft and enjoyed spending time with his tiny sister. Today was the day he would receive the Digivice and his efforts would finally be recognized by his colleagues. He could make weapons and other items for them. He could make cards with different effects for their Digimon. Every squad needed someone like Henry, otherwise they'd be stuck with fixed cards and other equipment. Unlike Henry, who was a genius with a mutant ability to aid, the others would have to cope with these problems by interacting with the data through a computer device, whereas Henry could do without it. With one glance around, Henry finally saw his Digimon take shape and knew his path. Terriermon was a charming bipedal canine with white fur and green stripes on its collarbone, paws, and ear tips. It was distinguished by its long, ragged ears and a single horn on its forehead. It had black toes and paw pads, just like a dog. While it mostly resembled a dog, it shared design aspects with its twin species, Gallantmon, which resembled a rabbit. Terriermon was a type of Digimon. It was a very precious rookie Digimon who was Gallantmon's twin. Gallantmon had 3 horns sprouting from its head and the personality of a lonely crybaby, whereas Terriermon had only 1 horn emerging from its head and had a quiet but sturdy nature. It's a really cute sort of Digimon, and based on its placid behavior, it didn't appear to be a combat species, but while combat, it proved to be more strong than it appeared. It appeared to be a cute tiny pet that wasn't even 1 meter tall, standing at 50 centimeters. Its form gave it an innocent appearance, but it hid power underneath that frail exterior. It appeared to be calm and attentive as it evaluated him. Terriermon moved around him, and Henry sensed a boyish curiosity in it. It wasn't entirely mature or robotic. It made him think of his younger sister. "Your name is Tesla. Let's work together from now on, partner," Henry murmured softly as he approached and sat down to speak face to face. Tesla glanced at him with bright eyes and happily nodded. He liked Henry's tone because Terriermon were highly sensitive Digimon who didn't like people who were overly aggressive or brainless. "Yes, please look after me," Tesla said as he jumped into Henry's chest, causing him to catch him. He was intelligent but childish, exactly like his sister. He turned his head and saw the expected figure, Mega Gargomon. Mega Gargomon was a massive robotic Digimon with a dog motif. Its massive size and armament of weapon systems gave it the appearance of a mecha. Its face resembled that of a Saint Bernard dog, and it wore a helmet with a spike jutting from the brow. A pair of gigantic rockets with scowling rabbit-like faces perched on its shoulders. It had ears that looked like long airplane wings. Its feet and wrists were linked by thin, loose wire-like cords, and its lower torso was covered with tunic-like apparel. It sported spiked collars around its ankles and donned minigun-like gauntlets. The 0 unit was bored by its ears. It was a massive Digimon whose entire body had turned into a swarm of weaponry. Mega Gargomon had more weaponry than Metal Garurumon. Incidentally, Metal Garurumon was a low-temperature species, whereas Mega Gargomon was a high-temperature species. Every one of its weaponry, including lasers, missiles, bazookas, Vulcans, and flamethrowers, was hidden. Despite its modest pace, it possessed incredible devastating force because it converted all of its energy into power. Because its lack of speed was compensated for by its weapons, it could withstand strikes from all directions without moving an inch. The final form was strong and something that people would like. Henry was pleased, but he refused to accept such constraints. His mind had already planned the steps based on the form. He would change the evolution to his liking. The tamer could influence the evolution with expert-level talents or other powerful resources. "I'll give it different forms: speed, attack, and defense. What do you think, Tesla?" Henry inquired of his diminutive companion. "I agree. This form is too bulky and slow. We'll be taken out in the wild, and it looks ugly," Tesla said, shaking his head at the image. He wasn't pleased with the shape. It liked the attractive appearance to the mechanical monster. "Hee hee, I'll keep that in mind," Henry chuckled as he approached his Digivice. On the rear was the 0 unit sign, a red triangle with 3 smaller triangles on separate sides. When they were all finished, the squad reunited in the meeting room as they faced Mitsuwa. The group gathered in the room to congratulate one another on winning the jackpot. Despite the fact that Gankuman was a common weak Digimon in comparison to the other three, no one believed Naruto had bad luck and did not ask him to verify their theory. When the stats were compared, Asura was stronger than all of them except for speed, which Luna surpassed. Asura was now unique among its species and appeared to be a mutation. His body was thicker, and he had more control over the wax, which was stronger. Asura also appeared to have Naruto's techniques in his nature, hence the system had added Asura as a new variety. Gankuman. Uzumaki species, Asura possessed sealing powers and could use Fuinjutsu seals. Unlike a typical Gankuman, he could sense things. He could even use the wax to create smaller replicas, or clones. Moving on, Asura was the most powerful, followed by Arthur, and their final forms were extremely powerful. It was a surprising moment when Takato's companion shown the ability to compete with Naruto's partner. It was unexpected, yet work would be required because there was always a stat and skill disparity between equal-level Digimon. The current circumstance served as a stark reminder of this. The group ended the brief discussion and sat down in front of Mitsuwa and his crew. His face was as frigid as usual, and no one knew what he was thinking. He was in his 30s but appeared to be in his 40s. He was married, but no one knew about his children. He seemed to enjoy children, so the lack of one was shocking. Many assumed it was because one of them couldn't have children due to a medical condition. Regardless of his personal circumstances, Mitsuwa was a disciplined individual who excelled at his job and was a formidable tamer in his own right. He was a human rights activist who would go to any length to ensure their survival. He was a stickler for laws and regulations, yet he could bend and interpret them as he saw fit. He was a gray individual who did both good and terrible actions depending on the situation. Reaperman, a Digimon who specialized in hunting out other entities, was his sidekick. It was a mid-level mega-level Digimon, hence it was extremely powerful. Mitsuwa looked around the room at the people who had gathered. He was pleased with the results because it indicated they had gained a team with the potential to significantly boost humanity's might. The human side had a small number of Mega Digimon, and the horrific creatures of the digital world at the top were so powerful that most Mega-level Digimon were turned into fodder. Only Digimon of a similar caliber could do anything in the face of such beings. There were 4 of them at the time. 2 Royal Knights and 2 Zero units, both of which are near to Royal Knights. It was excellent news for humanity, but Mitsuwa was a pessimist who believed in cold hard truths, which meant that not all tamers lived up to their full potential for a variety of reasons. Good morning. I congratulate you on your great fortune and wish you all the best in the future, Mitsuwa said calmly. He was thanked by the squad and allowed to continue. I can see that you are all one team and that you all seem to have a goal in mind, which is great. Never forget to have ambition to grow or your partner will stagnate. The bond is both beneficial and terrible for both of you. It can cause the Digimon to lose its way, but it also works the other way. You are aware of it, but it is my duty to remind you, Mitsuwa remarked, looking at them. They were intelligent children who knew such basic facts, yet some people forgot and made blunders along the road. You are now officially tamers and can receive missions from us. We will provide you with the necessary data based on your rank if you require it, and we will assist you when you require it. You are free to do whatever you want as an official tamer, except breach the rules. You are not required to take a mission, but it is preferable if you do so, unless you want to explore the digital world without a guide. However, there is an exception. When an emergency occurs, the tamer is compelled to assist or face a serious penalty, which can include the death penalty depending on the situation and the severity of the crime. Mitsuwa presented the customary information and looked at their faces. He was relieved that they weren't self-centered jerks. Not all tamers were naturally decent people. Some didn't care what happened to others and just wanted to get on with their lives. These people took for granted what society provided for them, and when society required them, they fled like cowards or stood there doing nothing. Emperor Greymon yelled with wrath and hacked down swaths of scum who refused to help in an emergency and tried to make excuses when confronted after the calamity. With the blazing sword, they were all reduced to ash, along with their Digimon. Even after that, the scenario reoccurred since people might be incredibly greedy, and Mitsuwa despised such people with prejudice. He enjoyed punishing such trash with his Digimon. You've all seen your potential, and no one can deny that it's exceptional. You all have the potential to be S-rank Tamers, and we want that to happen. This information will be classified, but people will know and will target you based on their observations of your companions. Your team has been granted a space inside this base for the future, and you will be allocated a personal assistant and guard. You Suk has been taking care of you all, and she will now manage only your team. For your protection, we've assigned one of our top tamers, Mai Shiranui, Mitsuwa informed solemnly, as this was one of the most severe issues. Humanity never seemed to be able to work together and was always causing issues for one another. Many criminal gangs would kidnap or murder the children to avoid future confrontation. Digimon groups were already a source of consternation, but human difficulties also existed, making it difficult for people to unwind. It was difficult for the leaders to care for both sides while also keeping an eye on the details. They merely took part in the major events, leaving the minor details to others. The team knew what he meant, and they were lucky to have the support of 3 important families, as well as a relationship to the task force and the association. The thing about Young was excellent, but having someone accompany them would diminish their adventure. Mai Shiranui belonged to a shinobi clan. She was a stunningly gorgeous and powerful woman. Hanzomon, her sidekick, specialized in espionage and assassination. You don't have to worry about Miss Mai's presence disrupting your adventure. She is an expert at keeping it silent and invisible. In the end, it is your choice, but I want you to know that your life will be in danger, Mitsuwa explained, knowing that they could use the family guards or maids, but he wished to have someone on his side following them. He was personally invested in their development and wished to guide it. If there was a need, he would provide a genuine personal cause for them to battle and seek power. While the group was thinking, they all felt something touch them and discovered a woman standing next to Mitsuwa. Her skin was fair, and she had long brown hair tied into a tight high top-knot style waist-length ponytail with parted bangs and amber eyes. Her shoes were black with scarlet linings. She wore a sleeveless sensuous red kunoichi dress with 2 red and white tassels at the back containing spheres of opposing colors and circular ropes around her shoulders. Her long legs were out in the open, and she glanced at them with enjoyment in her eyes. The Shiranui clan excelled in Digimon and human seduction, thus Mai's behavior was natural, and the result was evident. Except for Naruto and Mitsuwa, no male could look away. Rika scowled at the woman while holding Naruto's hand. She despised it when such women gazed at Naruto. She could tell the woman was staring at him. Naruto, on the other hand, was intrigued by her abilities because she had been invisible to his senses. His senses weren't fully developed yet he was still too powerful for these mutations or new types.
Her appearance was stunning, but Naruto was not the sort to obsess over such things, or he would have been drooling over his wife, Ino, or any other woman around him when she blossomed into a beauty. There were several gorgeous women around him now, but he scarcely looked at them. He was having fun running around and discovering the world. This casualness raised Mai's eyebrows because no one could act that carelessly around her, as even gay guys couldn't resist her looks. Mitsuwa had met her many times before, so his reaction was expected unless she performed her spell on him. It was also influenced by Mitsuo's talent and relationship. How was that? Mai asked as she licked her lips and stepped closer, her stare locked on Naruto. With me around, you won't even feel it, and I will only take care of the human problems. This is a short contract that will only last a year or 2. Naruto had no idea what had happened or why she was looking at him with such a demanding attitude. Her actions drew his attention to her, but his eyes were devoid of any passion. Mai was taken aback. She'd never seen a man with such a focused gaze before. Rika's stare, on the other hand, made her smile. It was always amusing to see girls get excited. I will have my maids accompany us. Naruto felt it was better to ignore Mai because she was too distracting for everyone else.
Ruri, Hilda, Morrigan, and Roberta could join them instead because it would not be appropriate for all of them to accompany the rookie Tamers and they were needed elsewhere. Really, you won't have me? Mai asked, her arms clutching her sides and her voice gentle. Finally, there was the stench. She smelled delicious and enticing.
Thank you for the offer, Naruto said quietly. Mai smiled at his comments, which acknowledged her beauty. She must have known him because her father mentioned him.
They were 8 years apart in age, but Naruto had been the best fighter in the world since the age of 12. Her father had mentioned enticing him, and now was the opportunity, so she jumped at it, but it didn't appear to be simple. I can be accommodating. Mai murmured as she decreased her assets, and she was dressed in a full suit that covered her entire body save for her eyes. We'll accompany his maids. We know and trust them. Rika mumbled harshly, and Mai stared her in the eyes before turning to Naruto for the final response. She is correct. I'm amazed by your abilities, so I'd like to spar with you later, and maybe you can join us later, but not now. Naruto finished, and Mai made no fuss. She was well aware that doing so would tarnish her reputation. She had her own ways of getting through things, and Mitsuwa wasn't easy to shake. Thank you for considering my advice, and finally, I would recommend spending a week getting to know your partner before venturing into the digital world. Take care, and I wish you the best of luck in the future. Mitsuwa spoke calmly, without displaying any signals of disapproval or approval.
After completing his speech, he exited the room, leaving only Naruto's team and Young. With her supervisors gone, Young turned to face the team. She was now their personal assistant, which meant she had no duty for any other team or tamer.
Her responsibilities were now clear, and the success of this team would boost her reputation. This was an accolade bestowed to her for simply behaving normally. She simply went about her business and ended up being close to Naruto. Naso re-applied for this position after it was publicized, but she was turned down. Young could tell her colleague was upset and thought it was unfair that she was better. Her only thought on the subject was that she hoped she didn't hold a grudge.
This was like a dream come true for her since she would be able to observe the marvels of life via this team as they aged. Young had complete faith in Naruto's development. He wasn't the type to squander time and stagnate. Maybe she'll finally be able to advance as a tamer. She and her buddy Appemon had achieved a plateau at the champion level. They were both friendly and laid-back folks, but her partner appears to have stopped at that moment. It was exacerbated by the fact that she chose a desk job over adventure like the other tamers. She just didn't enjoy fighting and putting herself in risk. But she may send her partner with the team and have them look after him while she watches from the screens.
Congratulations, Guardians. You have been named S-rank potentials in the top circles. It has flaws, yet there are numerous benefits to this detail. You will attract the attention of powerful people and have the possibility to become friends with them.
The majority of top rankers go out of their way to develop contacts so that they can collaborate in critical occasions. It is great if you are constantly friendly and do not start conflicts with other tamers outside of the Colosseum. My name is You Suk Young, and I am a humble tamer, but I will do my best to assist the squad. Young gathered her thoughts and proceeded to the center to speak with the squad.
You can unwind, Young. We're all friends here, so there's no need to be too formal, and we'd love to work with you. Naruto grinned as he stood up and encouraged her to relax because her body was rigid. It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Young, and we all look forward to working with you. Do you have any suggestions for me? Takato inquired as he rose up and patted Arthur with his Digivice. Without authorization, Digimon were not permitted to roam freely in the human world. It was the reason there weren't as many Digimon around. This was especially true for giants, which were prohibited unless in emergency situations. Thank you very much. Gallantmon is a combat species. It would be ideal if he continued to battle in order to satisfy his appetite and grow. Gallantmon is also extremely sensitive to the tamer, so never let hatred or wrath consume you. Arthur will thrive in a favorable atmosphere, or he may develop into a ferocious beast of wrath. For the time being, the Colosseum will suffice, and you can teach your buddy new battle techniques to help his make progress toward Gallantmon. Young responded that it was useful and that some of the things they all knew. Young's major function was to protect them from the human world, to keep an eye on them, and to act as their link. She was capable of overseeing their missions.
She may provide them with information. She could set them up with meetings.
She may assist in the administration of the digital storage. She could direct them to the appropriate equipment and locations. She served as their secretary. Thank you, Miss Young. Could you please gather information about the Gallantmon evolution line and send it to me? Yes. I will send data for all of your Digimon by tonight. Young reacted confidently, as she did the majority of the time. There's no need to rush. We can wait 2 or 3 days. All I need is something actually useful, Rika said, looking at Young and Naruto. She felt compelled to grimace. Naruto seems to have charmed someone no matter where they went. She didn't mind the maids because it was customary in clans to sleep with them. Unless it became emotional, she didn't count them. It was the reason she was fine with them and not as well as the trust issue. Work is important, but we can put it off and enjoy this wonderful day. You are now a member of our team, Young, so would you like to join? Naruto was usually the first to advise, work first, enjoy later. But because that was part of his remorse, he avoided similar situations in this life. Work only when absolutely necessary. The crew had previously planned to spend the entire day with their new partners, showing them about town before heading to the Uzumaki clan's celebration. All three families, as well as other important friends and individuals, would be present. So the night part was a little more formal and not just a family gathering. Young turned to face Naruto and Rika, who were standing hand in hand. She thought they were a good match. Rika was a stunning young lady with silky hair and superb athletic shape. Her appearance was superior to that of most models, and Young knew she was attractive, but Rika was superior. She, like Naruto, was strong and noble. Young had gone to lunch with Naruto and they had coffee together after a checkup or when they met by chance. It had strengthened their bond beyond their professional relationship, and she had come to see Naruto as her best friend. She had told him about her issues and even received advice from him. Young valued this connection and was genuinely involved in assisting the team to the best of her ability. Yes, I will join. Young responded with a nice grin because it was her obligation to be close to her team and it would be impolite to decline without a legitimate reason as a friend. The team then exited the association and boarded a Land Rover that had driven itself to the spot once the command was made. Naruto enjoyed driving, especially rapid driving. It was something Rika enjoyed and joined him in. On some days, both of them could be found racing through the streets on their bikes or in their vehicles. Street racing was legal, and there was little risk of accidents or deaths because Digimon and high-level technology were involved. There were some spots where it was not permitted, but most people were fine with it. There were also racing Digimon that became engaged in these scenarios so people could see them as the system allowed them to follow it through the cameras or the Tamers among them employed their own Digimon. The group drove around town with their Digimon on display. They went to a shopping mall and bought some new Digimon accessories. Before going to the bowling alley and other games, they purchased some snacks and drinks. The Digimon partners had not been given such information, therefore they were learning and playing for the first time. They ate lunch and then proceeded to the movies to view a horror film in virtual reality to fully experience the fright. There was no need to be concerned about the user's health because the safety system would reject them and revive them as needed. It was a good time, and they discovered that Tesla was afraid of scary movies. Asura felt challenged and mumbled about finding a means to harm them, but he had no way to harm ghost-like beings with reality warping abilities. Renneman was calm and simply enjoyed it as if it were a story, however Guilman's violent impulses were triggered and he needed to be calmed down. He didn't appear to enjoy horror either. After finishing the team adventure, Rika took Naruto out to spend time alone. They went to the park and walked around with their Digimon, conversing about mundane matters. Rika, on the other hand, kept sliding in difficult phrases throughout the chat and didn't let go of his hand. She even jumped on his back and demanded that he carry her around the area. Naruto noticed another side of Rika as she became more open. She was no longer held back by her concerns, but instead used them as fuel. Rika was someone he would have fell in love with in the past. He didn't like tomboyish chicks because he preferred delicate and refined women like Hinata. He admired Hinata for her selflessness, enormous heart, and tenderness. He'd never considered her abilities or family. She was the one lady in his life who loved him for who he was rather than what he had done. Even Sakura couldn't say she liked him just because he was Naruto, she only liked him because he protected her and battled for her. Naruto, as an empath, witnessed the outpouring of affection and adoration that made him feel whole. Drowning in that ocean of love soothed him, and he knew she was the one. She was the only one who could handle his love and continue to love him no matter what occurred. Rika was the polar opposite of Hinata and was not a sacrifice type. Hinata would give up her love if it meant Naruto would be happy. Rika, on the other hand, made it obvious that she would never abandon him and would make certain that he selected her. However, Naruto did not despise it. In the past, He had found himself at a crossroads between the two ways of life. Naruto would have followed Hinata's path, but now he would also follow Rika's. Why did he have to continuously make concessions? Why did he have to forego his happiness? Regardless, Rika was still young for him, and he was confused whether to follow the mysterious being's desire. After finishing their alone time, the pair departed for the party. To be continued.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel, Anime Fiction. I'm back with a new episode of What If Naruto Conquered a Mysterious World Part 2. And if you did enjoy this video, consider a like. And if you're new on my channel and like my